Hello, everybody. My name is Brad Altfest. I'm the Principal Solutions Architect for Highwinds. And this is my esteemed colleague, David Moffley from Fable Music. And what we're going to talk about today is the impact of video quality on monetization of your content, something that I think we're all very interested in. So I'm going to switch over here and give you an opportunity to talk about Fable.
Just we are a little bit different than everybody else out there in that we are both a producer and owner of content as well as a distributor of that content. We focus on what we call the indie emerging music space. Those of you that follow music, you know Mumford & Son, Foster the People, and acts like that. We filmed Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros on Friday. Great Kook show came out last week. So we produce on a weekly basis at least one new show, anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour and a half in length, that generally goes live on a Tuesday. And so it then goes to a number of different places around the web, largely powered by our platform, which is the video is obviously run by Highwinds for us. A long time ago, we made the decision when we started the company to not give away the container, that vessel, which is the player, to a third party like a Bright Cove or a YouTube or anything like that. Well, first of all, when we started in 2006, there was no such thing as really a long-form player, and we've always been long-form video. And so we had to initially build our own, and built our own on the RTMP platform, and then switched this year to HTTP progressive and using on the web HTML5 players. We really skipped ahead a generation. Last fall, the folks at Highwinds came to us and said that they were switching or shutting down their RTMP platform and gave us the opportunity to move to or think deeply about the way we wanted people to interact with our video. And at that time we could have redone all of our Flash architecture to work in the HTTP progressive environment, but we said that we felt pretty strongly that we wanted to be in an environment that worked anytime, anywhere, and across any platform. And so we jumped ahead, and our video is all HTML5 on the web. And so it just works wherever you are, whether you're on an iPad, an iPhone, Android, or on the web. And then also, obviously, we have Google TV channel and we Roku TV channel, and some other really kind of crazy stuff coming as well. Really driven by sort of the emergence of HTML5 as a platform technology. So.
Sure, and one of the reasons that we as an organization had made the decision to switch away from RTMP, just as the late great Mr. Jobs had looked at the performance on the client device, we were looking on our back end at the performance of RTMP, and we just weren't really seeing performance that we were looking for. So that was one of the main drivers behind our switch to progressive, and we like to think that a few months ahead of the curve, we had sort of seen in our crystal ball that RTMP was rapidly going to become a thing of the past, and obviously with the announcement by Adobe that support is going to be ending, clearly that bore out to be true. So one of the reasons that we decided to do this sort of case study today with Fable was because they did the switch, but as much as it may have been initially necessitated by the technology landscape, really wound up resulting in some significant performance enhancements and quality enhancements for both the user as well as for the content distributor. So, one of the discussions we had been having is the different ways that progressive download has sort of changed your world, and I'd love to talk about that a little bit.
Okay. From our point of view, sort of everything is about. We have a full platform. We have a lot of editorial efforts, as well as the video efforts. So we do. We do 15 to 20 new posts a day in terms of what's going on in the music world, feature articles, or album reviews, and the rest of it. But the core really is the video, and the video that we create for our audience. And what the switch, so just sort of giving, so this is our platform. Google TV. We love our implementation there. We wish more people watched Google TV. Roku, we find that most people obviously use Roku for Netflix and Amazon Prime, but there is some spillover into other channels. And then we have some other interesting set-top box types of initiatives coming. We just did something with a very cool company in Korea, taking our feeds and then building everything in HTML5, and then obviously for ourselves the web, and then we also syndicate our videos or portions of our videos through the big guys like 5min and YouTube, which to us is very, very important and very valuable. We get a window into behaviors and likes outside of that, and it's interesting because we see. We see different preferences across different platforms for the types of videos. Roku and Google TV are very heavy on sort of name brands, acts. Sort of if you like Natasha Bedingfield, you're going to watch, or Mumford & Son, or Foster the People. Those types of acts gets much more play on those set-top boxes. On our platform, it's very much so sort of people that are really fans, and look and find acts that, a lot of us are too old to actually watch, but Reptar is tomorrow's act, and none of us have heard of Reptar, including me, until we filmed them. But then we see syndication into YouTube. Again, we see that as very interesting because, again, stuff plays hundreds and hundreds of thousands of times in YouTube that we wouldn't think would do that, and it's very unlikely, but it gets caught up in sort of recommendations and things like that, and a lot of it actually occurs overseas, which is very interesting. And then obviously, then we also do a tremendous amount of business. Traditionally, we own Friday nights at 1 a.m. on MSG for 26 weeks. We partnered with a small cable VOD operator called Stingray, which is in 20 million homes, as well as then we license a lot of our programming around the world to other broadcasters. So that's us. But going back to sort of the platform, it's really the key to us was sort of quickly engaging the audience. Not having buffering, and quite frankly, we don't really like pre-roll. We feel that on our page we monetize that page very heavily with display, and we want people as quickly as possible to engage in the video. And the change to progressive and HTTP, or rather HTML5, allowed you to just really, there's almost no latency in the video loading. The video, quite frankly, loads and starts playing faster than the rest of the page goes. And then the HTML5 allowed us to, on our long form content, realize the benefits of that. And so we have that you can switch between between songs instantly within that architecture. So if you see a different track, that you like, if you want, pumped up kicks and the Foster the People, you just click on pumped up kicks, it comes. And, you're not buffering, you're not going someplace else and clicking on that like a Bright Cove player and then having it come back and then having to sit through another piece of pre-roll. And so, we really want to engage you, and that switch from RTMP and then the pieces of the pie that we've just sort of engaged with the technology in HTML5 have allowed us to do that. And it's really kind of interesting because we feel it drives up engagement, it drives up time on site, and then the social engagement of whether it's commenting or liking or things like that on the platform.
And so one of the ways that we've really been able to do that is through the architecture of our own CDN. So we actually have our Rolling Thunder network as our backbone. And if you guys are familiar with Sodexis, they're one of the CDN monitoring tools out there. If you run us against a number of our peers, in fact, the majority of our peers in the CDN space, you'll actually see that our performance is generally at the very top. And there's a number of other architectural reasons for that, and definitely feel free to come by to our booth during the Streaming Media East show tomorrow and on Wednesday, and we'd love to get more into the nitty-gritty, but I don't want to bore too many folks here with those types of details. But really, when we're talking about quality, especially from a CDN perspective, what we're also talking about is exactly what David's articulating, performance. There are statistical measurements that say that you lose X number of eyeballs every Y number of milliseconds that a user is stuck waiting for a piece of video to queue up or buffer And then, of course, in your use case, you also wanted folks to have the ability to switch tracks. And that's one of the areas where we really think that we excel, and one of the areas where, in general, that's part of how you would want your users to experience the content if switching between channels is core to your business. There's a few other additional features that we bring to the table, including real-time analytics. And so that's really great if you want to take a look at content that's brand new and see how is it trending. And so suddenly you have a piece of content you put up and it's going viral, and you would have the ability to know that pretty much instantaneously just by logging into the Strike Tracker, which is our front-end system, which gives you full access to the CDN and all the underlying technology. So there's a lot of different ways to sort of skin the quality cat, as it were. And we're always looking to our customers to really help us decide, well, what's the next quality issue we're going to tackle. So let me just switch to one of your next slides, to talk about all the different platforms that you're currently powering.
So what we're powering is obviously the site, Google TV, Roku, some other over-the-top initiatives that are coming, which I think are extremely cool. And our iPhone app, we launched an Android app a few weeks ago, as well as our Chrome app, which of course is a clone of the Google TV. And then what we also have started doing is taking our core architecture, which is underneath that HTML5, is a Flash player, and syndicating those feeds out to third parties. One of the first ones to sign on to that is a company out in California called OV Guide. And then obviously the television and VOD environments, which fall outside of our relationship with Highwind. But I think as I think about sort of where we want to be, I think ultimately the cable environment and the walled garden in the cable environment, I think at some point will crumble, and that will be on every television. Well, we are anyway, in terms of, if you have sort of the newer television, will be everywhere, and that's our objective, to be everywhere, because that's the customer's expectation. I mean, we're a small business, and so, but the customer doesn't care how big you are. They want, if they love Ben Howard or they love Foster the People, they want to interact with your content, whatever device they're on, and and so you have to strive with ubiquity, strive for ubiquity across your architecture and then across the people that you work with. And so, it's, if I want an iPhone, I want to watch it on my iPhone. If I want them on my iPad, I want to watch it. And it's interesting because then engagement levels also go up and down depending on the platform. We like the iPad a lot. People spend a lot of time on the iPad with our content, and less so on the iPhone. We think that's because of the environment that people don't necessarily want to watch a concert on a 3.5-inch screen or 4-inch screen. They want something larger and sort of beefier. So
I'm curious, before we get into a QA session, how many folks here have already cut the cord from their cable provider and are really just doing video over the internet or over the top? Wow. That's a pretty significant number already.
So,
great.
Yeah. So I think we can skip that next slide.
All right.
I mean, that's just the core architecture.
And this is, basically what the Babel Music site looks like. Again, I mean, so many folks are spending so much time on user experience, and one component, of course, is the graphical layout and the user engagement in an analytic measured environment. But the other part also is very much the back end. How are you powering it? How quickly are you able to get the content to the consumer? And to how many different locations are you able to get the content to the consumer? So one of the products that we have coming out very shortly, or actually is already in beta right now, is our multi-protocol streaming, which essentially allows for single encodes to target virtually any device out there, over the top, mobile, all the different web browsers, web codecs, web containers, that's something that we're trying to take the heavy lifting on, so that way you guys can focus more on the content creation and the content distribution. So I think that's pretty much it. If you guys have some questions for us, though, we'd love to see what you guys are interested in. I'm the only person with a question in the room, really? All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. Oh, we have a question. Great.
So why did you wrap cars?
you know, I wish bands would take branding lessons before they become bands. You know, I mean, it's really remarkable. We have, you know, there's a great band called Holy Fuck, and you know, I mean, it's like, how do you expect your label to promote you? How do you expect to get out there? You know, I mean, it's just, and they're just really good. I mean, and you just have sort of, you know, you have endless kind of names that are, you know, sort of formulated, obviously, in sort of a garage late at night, you know, and just sort of, you got to go with it, and you know, so. So.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it, and enjoy the rest of your show, everybody.